All right, what's up? We are here with Kelly Benfey, my first ever guest on this pod. And so yeah, a little introduction about Kelly. She's a PT. She owns Onward Physical Therapy, and she is a super awesome mega games athlete now. How crazy is that?
It's wild. Something I never thought I would say without laughing.
What do you mean, dude? What do you mean?
I don't know. I mean, it seemed like such a lofty goal. And I remember one time I actually had a person say like, oh yeah, no, that's never going to happen. And so even like thinking about regionals way back when, I was like, do you think I could ever make that? And he was straight up like, no.
Wait. Okay. I love that. But we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. No. I love that. But we're gonna get into that for sure.
So games was like off the table.
And now you're a freaking games athlete, dude.
Yep.
So look, I just want to say thank you so much for being on here, being my first ever pod guest. Yeah, first ever pod guest. We're gonna release this as the first one.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, for sure. And you, I mean, you have been somebody that I have actually looked up to, believe it or not. And I really appreciate you letting me train with you on Wednesdays, you know, being kind of I would say a CrossFit mentor at this point right now.
I hope I've taught you a few things.
You've taught me a few things. You've taught me do not do 5 super fast wall walks at 6 inches for a deficit, because that will crush you. That's exactly what we did.
You live and learn.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, okay, Kelly, CrossFit. This is your thing, right? You are now a games athlete. I want to talk about like the inception of how this all started. Like what's your athletic background? How did you get into it? Or how did you get into athletics in the first place?
Okay, yeah, we're going back then.
Yeah.
I grew up doing gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
So I did gymnastics for about 10, 11 years.
Okay.
And then I started doing track and field in high school. So I pole vaulted on the track team. And then I liked track more than I was liking gymnastics. So I made the switch to like primarily do track. And I got recruited to run track at school. So I got a scholarship to be able to pole vault on a team. I went to Northeastern University in Boston. So I did that for 4 years. And while I did weightlifting in high school to help with training for track. And then in college, we did more like hang power cleans, because that's really explosive. It translates really well to your performance on the track. And I loved the weightlifting or the weight room aspect of training more than like anything. I didn't really actually have the best college career that I had always hoped and dreamed for. And there was a really good powerlifting coach that was our strength training coach at college. And he was like, you're in the wrong sport. And I was like, bro, I know. This is way more fun too.
Sure.
All the squatting and benching and all that stuff. So I finished up my eligibility for track and field. And I was like, what the heck do I do now? Like, I was really disappointed with the lack of success I had in track. And then
what about what happened in track that you were hoping for that you didn't actually get to?
I just wanted to like win competitions. I don't know, feel successful. I injured myself. I had a stress fracture in my foot in senior year of high school. And then it was in an area that doesn't like heal well. So I had a surgery to put screws in to heal it. Then I had another surgery to take screws. Like the whole thing just lasted about 2 years. So for 2 years, I was like in a boot more than I wasn't in a boot. So out of the sport. And then
But you still got recruited.
Well, yeah. So I got recruited, signed, and then I got injured.
Oh, okay.
So fortunately, I was glad I still had that plan in place. And then after having like 2 years off of not competing, I don't know if it's just I felt like I had to make up for that time lost. I had so much pressure on myself to perform and like make up for that first year where I redshirted. And then the rest of my college career, I was like a mental head case and would like run down the runway with my pole and just like run through the pit and like not even be able to take off.
Really?
Yeah. And I couldn't figure out how to actually like get out of that mental block until the last year. I finally like decreased some of that literal emotional weight on my shoulders that literally didn't let me do anything with the sport.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, the season was over. It just didn't give me enough time. So I was so sad and bummed about that.
Was that the first time that sorry, my phone just went off. Was that the first time in like your athletic career going from gymnastics to track And then track in college, was that the first time that you ever felt that kind of weight on you?
Yeah. I mean, I always put a ton of pressure on myself. And when I was younger, I don't think I handled it well, of course. Thinking like, oh, this one competition that like doesn't mean anything is like the world. And if I don't do well, it's the end of the world.
Yeah,
so,
for
like,
sure.
That's how I acted when I was younger, I think. But then when I went to school, like I got a scholarship to compete there.
Yeah, D1, right?
Yeah, it was D1. We're in the Colonial Athletic Association, like not the top of the top, but still
Super good.
great.
Notable. Yeah.
Yeah, I was super proud to do that, and I felt like I needed to earn it.
Sure.
I mean, who wouldn't? Any athlete like would like to not only earn it, but
Be the best.
see success in whether there is a scholarship or not, too.
Yeah.
So I just every practice was so miserable. I was probably the worst teammate ever to be around. Like
Mentally?
Mentally, like yeah, basically everything except for the weight room. Though I love that stuff.
Yeah.
That was great. We'd be like squatting so much. It was awesome.
Were you like one of the stronger ones naturally on the team?
Yeah, with squat and bench, like your power lifts, yes, because
Yeah.
I had done that. I've been exposed to that in high school. And then we started to learn like a hang power clean. Like I said, we did some Olympic lifts. And I was like mad that one of the athletes on my team was like smaller than me, but could hang power clean like 135, no problem. And I was like trying to reverse curl 65 pounds. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So in that, like that one, no, I wasn't. But that at least had exposed me to the Olympic lifts at that point.
Sure. Okay. So then you said at like your last year was when you kind of got over that mental barrier. What exactly like was the mental block? And what do you think it was that got you past that? Was it like a support group of people? What was your support group like back then? Parents, boyfriends, whatever it was.
Teammates, parents, no boyfriend or anything. It's probably for the best.
Yeah.
Heck
yeah.
I finally found a sports psychologist that actually clicked. I tried that a couple
You
times.
did that in college?
Yeah, they had
Wow.
They had one in I remember I would have meetings like in the private room of our athletic training room.
That's sweet.
So yeah, it was really helpful.
Yeah.
I had tried that previously, but didn't click with the first two that I had tried. Because I think I did one like online, one in person when I was younger. And like, I don't know if it's just I wasn't mature enough to like take the help from them to figure out how to get there.
Yeah.
Because that is still something you have to do in like the work you have to do inward.
Yeah, they
So
can offer you all the like tools, but you have to put the work in.
Yeah. And I still remember this. You're making me like dig all these memories out from like the back folders of my
That's what we want.
yeah.
Want the juice,
I
dude.
remember one day he was like, Kelly, what are you going to do when you graduate? Because I was like having this like talk. I was like, if I don't do well at this last track meet, like, oh, like acting like the world is over. He was like, Kelly, what are you going to do after you graduate? And I was like, I'm going to be a physical therapist. And he was like, what are you going to do if you do PR and do win this competition after you graduate? And I was like, I'm still going to go be a physical therapist. He was like, whether you get dead last, whether you just do okay, whether you win, you are going to eventually be the same person. Like your path doesn't change.
Right.
And that moment, I literally remember being like, like, oh, like the mushroom cloud out of my head. I was like, that sounds so simple when I say it out loud now, you know, but in that moment I was like, holy crap, I have wasted so much time like being angry.
Yeah, is
Or,
it a
like,
waste of time or like because as we like go forward in your
Yeah.
life, is it a waste of time or did it like help build you into this like
Totally.
super athlete that you are now,
Yeah.
like a champion?
So in a way, like after I finished, like didn't do great, was super bummed, and I still like was disappointed in that. But you're right, like I can be so thankful that those experiences have helped me. Now I'm not the like perfect mental athlete still, like we all have our struggles, but right, like I have wondered so many times like, man, I wish I started CrossFit when I was 21. And I'm like, nope, actually I probably don't, because I would have been a psychopath and like do that, like just have all the same poor mental toughness habits.
Yeah.
So yes, you're right. Like I, in retrospect, like am very thankful that I eventually took a hard route to get to where I got.
Yeah, and to be honest, I actually kind of feel bad for like CrossFit athletes that start with CrossFit because they don't have as much exposure to like real pressure. You know what I mean? Like when you are a part of, not that it's not real pressure, but it's still such a niche thing that it seems like a lot of them fall apart for no reason. Whereas like a collegiate athlete, somebody who's D1, or you even watch Danielle Brandon, like, but when you look at the way she performs and stuff, it's like you can tell that she was a college athlete. Like she's so well put together. She does things methodically. Like she thinks before she acts or whatever. So I don't know. I think that there's a lot to be said about that. And you just like, you needed that experience. It made you a better athlete later on.
I can be so thankful that I eventually got, I don't know if it's like more level-headedness approaching big competitions. Like I do appreciate having nervousness leading up to a competition, and you train for months leading up to it, and like one lift could be it or not it.
Yeah.
But yes, like at the end of the day, I like often hear myself saying like, you're still gonna be business owner, Kelly. You're still gonna be able to be a CrossFit athlete. It's okay. It like desensitizes how scary or high stress some of these things can be.
Yeah.
And that's really important because I can see that in other younger athletes, they don't have the ability to like be able to brush it off because like, yeah, when you're younger, you think the world is going to end when stuff doesn't go your way.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that was only me, but
yeah.
what do you guys think?
Right. Yeah. Totally. Do you think that those are like skills that you bring into just like everyday training too?
I try to. I definitely try to. I have been having to work on that a lot because with this season, there has been a whole different level of pressure because now, like, okay, we're going to the games and I am still going to be business owner Kelly, physical therapist Kelly after this. But if we do really well, like that actually could change my future. I don't know. Like, is that a wrong way to, I mean, no, like, in a little bit, it's going to increase exposure. Like that's a really cool opportunity. But I guess at the base level, like I'm still going to have the same foundations of who I am afterwards. So I do still try to like have that same approach of like, let's go have fun. I'm still going to like go back to living in Milwaukee, owning and crushing this business with Drew after. None of that's going to change. Nobody can take that away from me. And I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah. It's just a different stage, right?
Totally.
Same thing, different stage. Maybe a little bit more high pressure. You're on a team.
A little more high pressure, but I think we're ready for it. But I have struggled this season with some of that pressure because now I am on a team. And when I was an individual athlete, I was the only person I had to face at the end of the day. So I could have those conversations with myself and it was fine. And now being on a team, it's like, okay, well, I've been having like some difficulty with my snatch. I'm kind of in a funk right now. I'm sure you can appreciate that.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm like, if I don't figure this out, like I'm letting them down. And like, I've personally been struggling with that extra layer of pressure that I never anticipated.
Yeah. Well, I think you could probably take like comfort at least in knowing that they definitely have their own struggles too. You know what I mean? Whether or not they tell you about it, but they're definitely going through it as well.
Exactly. Me and Pieta, the other girl on my team, we have had so many conversations because it's usually us that are the limiting factor. So we're always like it's got to be someone.
What's the common denominator there?
What do you mean?
Nothing. I'm just
like it's always me. That's how I feel. Like.
No. Anyway, okay. So let's bring it back to So you went from high school, or when did you do gymnastics? It was like middle school.
Like I started when I was 5, and then I did it competitively until I was in 10th grade.
Okay, cool. And then you made the transition to track and field. And then you went to college. So when you get out of college and you're pursuing like the physical therapy, what brought you into CrossFit?
Yeah, so I had a friend on the track team. We call this our meathead summer. We would, because we had no idea.
Different from hot girl summer.
It was our meathead summer. It was like my 6th year of PT school. After I finished my eligibility, we would go to the regular gym on our campus and just go in there and build up to a heavy single back squat and then a heavy single bench
every time,
literally like 3 times a week.
Jesus.
So funny.
Did you PR all the time?
I remember it was Nick. So Nick, if you randomly see this, what's good? But we would go and he would chug a Monster in the lobby. We'd go up there and then just build up to a heavy single squat and bench and then leave. We were like, what else do we do? It was so funny. And we knew that was stupid.
Yeah.
But it was like not so funny because 4 or 5 years leading up to that, we were always in the like varsity athletic gym, following a program. It was kind of just to have some freedom and like just mess around with whatever, because like we like to challenge ourselves, and like I said, I love the weightlifting, but man, it was so stupid, but hilarious to think about. And then I had another friend who was a thrower on the track team, and he started doing weightlifting at CrossFit Fenway, which is now Invictus Boston.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, in like right next to Fenway Park in Boston. I could walk to it from my apartment, and he was like, "Kelly, you really should try this CrossFit thing. Like, I really think you're gonna like it." And I was like, "Oh, I don't know."
Were
But
you like hesitant towards it?
I was hesitant because being a physical therapist, people would kind of talk bad on CrossFit, of like, "Oh, you're foregoing form for time," and all that stuff. Like it was early in that, I forget what 2015. It was
like when everybody was hating on
It
CrossFit.
was kind of early
in
that phase or whatever. And I was like, but I'm a physical therapist and I move well and blah, blah, blah. But I also was like, oh, okay, but I'm doing my last clinical rotation in a new city. How am I going to meet people? Okay, I think you meet people through CrossFit in adulthood. So I was like, fine. And I agreed to doing it. So I was like, I'll just do like 2 times a week. That'll give me a little bit of structure. And I didn't really know much else about it. And the first time I went, might have been like the first or second time we built up to like, I don't know if it was, everything was just built up to a heavy single. No.
Yeah.
But no, I remember cleaning 175, like one of my first 3 classes or something like that.
And you were reverse curling 65 in college?
Yeah. So I figured it out. I did figure it out. And the coach there was like, you should take this seriously. Like,
really?
Like sat back and was like, let's talk about your membership. Like,
nice.
And I was like, no, we're gonna do 2 times because I still have my meathead summer like practices with Nick, you know.
Practices.
So I would do like 2 days a week at CrossFit Fenway, 2 days a week in the regular gym.
Yeah.
And then I started doing 3 times a week, and then around then was when I moved to Chicago.
Okay.
And so I joined a gym in Chicago, Division Street CrossFit, right in Wicker Park. And that community was amazing. That's where I met like all my great friends. And I did my first open there. It was so fun. And basically the CrossFit gym was the reason I stayed in Chicago and didn't move back to Boston after. So I got a job as a physical therapist in Chicago because I was like, I met these awesome friends. Like, I love this place.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was kind of like down for a change. I don't have family in Boston necessarily. And so I stayed there.
Wow. Okay. So when you cleaned that 175 at Boston or in Boston, what was that conversation actually like with the coach?
Oh, he just kind of like sat back and was like, that's not normal. Like, you should take this a little more seriously. Like, that's all it was. Pretty much.
Okay. Got it. So then when you get to Chicago, what was like the turning point where you're like, or did somebody tell you, or did you feel it? Because I feel like for people who are higher performers, let's say, right? I feel like there's always kind of this like little voice in their head that's saying like it points them in the right direction, like what you're supposed to be doing. Was that there for you when you were doing CrossFit, or did somebody say something again in Chicago? What was the turning point?
I just did class and loved to do the like local comp here and there. But it was more about just like hanging out with the people for the first 3-4 years at least of doing CrossFit. And like we had a crew, we loved to like go in on Sundays and do weightlifting, and but we also loved to do the big group class on Saturday and then go walk down Division Street where all the bars and restaurants were and do like bottomless brunch all day until we like died, you know? Like, so we were very
So you were a normal person for a little bit.
Absolute normal person. I remember the first year I did the open, like I surprised myself. They like convinced me I should do RX, and I was like, I don't know, I'm nervous. Like did well. I forget when I had that conversation where I was like, if I actually like tried harder, do you think I could make regionals? And I had no concept of actually where I was compared to what the athletes were actually doing to get to regionals at that point.
Yeah.
So in a way, I don't blame the guy for saying like, oh God, no way. Because I was like, look at me, what I do on Saturdays. I go work out and then I go booze all day, you know? So like, obviously that wasn't going to help.
Sure.
So like, don't blame you at all for like telling me that. But when he said that, I kind of was like, oh, okay, I guess never mind. I was kind of sad, but I didn't think about it. So again, I just did classes, enjoyed it, local comps, loved pushing it in that aspect for years. Then when they changed it to the season 2 quarterfinals, semifinals, then the games, right? Yeah. So that first year they did it, in the beginning of that year, we had just come off COVID, I think, right? Was that 2021?
I don't know. Let's ask the audience.
I think it was.
When was it?
I think 2021 was the first year they had this new thing that was like exactly perfect for the people like me, people that love to push it and were, you could say, above average, like did RX everything, competitive, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, ooh, that's really cool because I didn't have what it took to jump straight from the open to a major event after. And so coming off of COVID, I was like not eating anything. Like I was like depressed, not eating, sad. I had a boyfriend at that time, still do. Same thing, Hunter at that time.
Okay, it's still Hunter.
Sorry,
Okay.
I had like, it's
same
not
thing,
a thing anymore. Sorry.
same thing.
I had Hunter at that time and he was like, Kelly, what'd you eat today? And I was like, like a banana and a handful of granola.
The fuck?
And he was like, maybe that's why you're so mean. And I was like, oh. But like I had no energy. So I literally would be like, oh, it's fine. I'll just be hungry. I didn't even feel hungry anymore. So I was like depressed from that year.
Because of COVID?
Yeah, like we all struggled. Like living in Chicago was tough because everything was shut down. It was a very different experience depending on where you lived, I would say. But not to focus on that. It was pointed out to me kindly by Hunter, thank you, that I probably should eat more. So I started doing RP and it basically like, you could even say it tripled what I was eating just to maintain body weight. So I probably doubled/tripled what I was eating. I lost 8 pounds. And then I did quarterfinals for the first time and I placed 200. Well, I think it's because you had to be top 120 to make it to semifinals. And I was 100 spots out. And I was like,
damn.
I tried for 3 months and did that. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
Can we swear on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
I was like, okay, I didn't like, that wasn't that, like I just touched the surface of maybe like
trying.
Putting all my eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
Not even close. And so after that, that's when I was like, okay, buckle up, let's go. And then ever since then, it's been like, through all these experiences.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Now you're there. Now you understand how I got here.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Like, so obviously you make it. So then you make it to quarterfinals, your 200th. And then the next year is when you finally make it to semi as an individual?
Yes.
Yeah. It happened that quick.
Yeah. So I got that just like touch, that little taste of like, ooh, wow, that could happen. And actually, this kind of circles into this current season really well. So right after that, we were in Chicago. I lived in Chicago. A lot of CrossFit teams, individual athletes come through Chicago on their way to Madison.
Okay.
It's the closest major city.
Yeah.
So this team from New Zealand chose the gym that I worked at to train at for about 2 weeks before they went up to Madison. So these 4 athletes come in, their coach comes in. I'm loving watching. Like I'm always like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like watching these 4 like massive bodied athletes like training together. That's what I dream of.
Hanging out a little longer.
And now I'm on the team. Yeah. But so they came and they're so friendly. I met the coach. And it just kind of shared with him a little bit of my goals. I was like, I think it would be kind of cool. Like, wouldn't it be awesome if I could make semifinals next year? And he had seen me clean one time and then like do a workout with a couple of ring muscle ups. And he was like, oh, if you do my program, you'll make it. And I was like, what? He's like, I know. But at that time was the exact moment where I was like, okay, I should pick a program and just follow it.
Yeah.
Again, Hunter's the one that like is telling me all what to do.
Sure.
He was like, because I would just randomly do like some workouts here and there. I'd hop into class. I was kind of like scattered.
Yep.
So he was like, pay a program and just stick to it to a T. And I was like, okay, which one should I do? So that was happening at the same time. So because these athletes from New Zealand, they were great with like all their long aerobic capacity monostructural stuff, and that's where I was really weak at. So I was like, well, this probably would be a good program for me to do if they're all good at it. And I kind of liked that like not everybody else was going to be doing it too.
Yeah.
So I chose to just follow that program. So I just followed it's 6-4 training systems. I just followed their general competitor program, nothing specific to me. It was just what he had already had in place. And after doing that for that season, I qualified individually. I got a backfill invite. I'm the queen of backfills, but if you
same as Wada, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have to be top 120, I was 124. So that was close enough to get a backfill.
You got in. Who cares, right?
Oh yeah.
So I guess on the way there, like, so you you gave up going to class kind of, right? And you started doing your own thing, started following a
Yeah.
program. So what did you, to make it from that 200th spot to making it finally to semis, what were some of the things that you had to like put aside? Like finally, you had to make some sacrifices to get there, right? So what were some of the things that you had to do?
As far as it was more like adding in more than taking away, I
Okay.
would say. I mean, I still would be somewhat social and go out a little bit, but obviously would sacrifice like going out and drinking a ton before important events.
Yeah.
Like the couple months leading up to the Open, or obviously like leading up to semifinals, like stop doing anything like that. But it was more about just following the program to a T and then really continuing to eat enough. Like I literally felt like I started taking performance enhancement drugs when I actually fed myself appropriately. Hope I was a more pleasant person to be around too. So
The woman
so
hangriness.
mean. Yeah, so mean. So yeah, eating more and just following the program. Essentially,
Yeah.
doing all the stuff that you hate doing. I probably
Right.
before I would see like a long engine style workout or like a machine workout and be like, no, I'd rather do something fun.
Yeah.
And now I was like, okay, I look forward. I live in fear of being exposed on a competition floor.
Really?
With something that like my weakness, yeah. So I live in fear of that. So that I am more afraid of getting exposed doing like not being able to do a legless rope climb than I dislike training in practice.
Oh yeah.
So I look forward to like when they announced that 10 legless rope climb for time workout, I was like, I don't even know if I can do 4. Like I just hadn't done that much because I was still such a new athlete into like the next level of like the sport of CrossFit, I would say. And then like every time that would come up, I'm like, yes, okay, good, thank God, thank goodness. Like that, I just look forward to all the weakness work now, essentially.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's good that you have that like type of perspective, looking at it like that instead of looking at it like, oh shit, I gotta fucking do
Right,
this
because
stuff.
it's really uncomfortable. It's really frustrating to suck at something.
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
so easy to just be like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, just not gonna do it today.
I'm great at.
Yeah.
So I feel good right now.
Yeah.
And I also am very lucky that the training program I follow manipulates skills so well, I would say, because I do see some people like in the sport of CrossFit do strength training that's not really getting them stronger. For example.
How do you mean? What do you
just
mean?
like the principles of strength and conditioning.
Like just not
it's
very like progressive.
Enough, it's not consistent enough.
Sure.
And I'm no expert in developing like a strength training program for someone. Like I wouldn't say I'm your go-to coach in that aspect, but like having a background in physical therapy and strength and conditioning, I know enough to know like
you understand
progressive loading
progressions.
needs to be X amount of reps at X amount of percentage, and sometimes we don't meet that threshold.
Yeah.
So I just bring that up just to say like I'm glad this program that I'm doing like actually creates a difference.
Oh yeah.
Versus just gets you tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree. I think that CrossFit, not that I want to talk about too much about strength training here, but I think that a lot of the programming is just like too conjugate-y, where it's just like too varied, too much. And
it's still beneficial to
Yeah.
just follow the basic.
Right. Like you should
principles of
probably
training.
squat once or twice a week. You should probably bench press or OHP, something like that, and follow progression based off of that. Instead of like, I see like sometimes people don't squat even once a week because they're like just doing the Olympic lifts or whatever. And then they switch it up.
Yeah. Like if strength is one of your holes, like you're not going to get stronger doing hang snatch.
Right. Exactly.
Olympic lifting, for example.
Yeah.
Like,
You got to work on it all in a progressive manner for sure. So then going from semis to now games. So you've had a year so far, like a really crazy year, right?
Yes.
So this is like your first year owning this business, right? Owning and operating, a year and a half?
Going up on 2 now.
Going up on 2.
Yeah, yeah.
So in 2 years, you've opened a business, you've become a semifinals level athlete, and now you're like going to the games. You went to New Zealand for 2 stints, right? 1 6-week and then 1 4-week.
About, yeah.
What was all that like putting that all together?
That was obviously amazing. Such a special experience.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful for it.
Yeah.
But it was hard, I would say. It was a little bit challenging because when you get to like owning a business is a full-time job, training for the games is a full-time job. So those 2 big goals of mine, if you choose to take one to the full length of where you want to take it, it's going to take away from another one.
Yeah, one has to kind of
Yeah.
go to the wayside a little bit.
Yeah. So that was hard because I do identify as being career focused. I want to grow this business. I take a lot of pride in what we are trying to do in the profession of physical therapy here at Onward. And that's a really important part of my identity, is being a member of this team.
Sure.
But I also have this amazing opportunity to meet a personal goal of mine of going to the CrossFit Games. So I still sometimes struggle with the fact that I chose to do that and like totally put Onward aside a little bit. I was able to see some clients virtually while I was away and do some of the back end work. But when it comes to like the games, like it's taken over. Like I have thought about the CrossFit Games every single day since January 15th.
I think I would too if
Yeah,
I made it to the
every
CrossFit Games. Yeah.
Like when you're trying to do this, you're not going to go all the way to CrossFit Games and do it 80%.
Yeah.
You're going to go all in. And B, what was my B? Crap. I forgot what I was going to say. You'll have to edit that out.
So you're going to go all in.
Yeah, you're going to go all in, obviously. And I forgot. But I was going to say, like, every single decision you make when it's this extreme of a sport directly affects what you're going to do in August, essentially. Or if you make it to August.
100%.
So it's consumed, like, every single thought. I am so glad that I have a business partner, because if I was by myself, I would have like had to probably shut down my clinic.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
I would have probably had to take like a strong left turn on like those goals.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't know if I could have. I don't know if throwing away my current situation with where I'm at in my career is worth reaching that goal of CrossFit Games.
Okay.
That would have been a really hard decision to make, and I'm glad I did not have to make it. But the fact that I have a business partner, he allowed me, we agreed that we could make this work.
Yeah.
And I'm going to owe him for the rest of my life. That guy, man.
Drew, you're amazing.
Savior.
He's my personal PT. He works on me. Yeah, that guy.
Oh, special guy. Thank you.
So because I have some of like these things, right, that are in my heart. I feel like that if I don't accomplish before I die, I won't be fulfilled, right? Mm-hmm. Is the CrossFit Games that to you now?
That's a good question, because it is such an important thing. I'm so excited. Yeah. I can't even fully wrap my head around the fact that, like, yeah, you could say I'm a games athlete now because we haven't done it yet. So
no, but you are,
like,
because you made it. Yeah,
qualified.
and you're going. Yeah.
But you're right. Like, until 2 years ago, I didn't even think it was a possibility. I was like, oh, I'm so glad they finally made it quarterfinals. That's gonna be my thing. And then I was like, oh my god, semifinals. Like, maybe I could do that. And then I did.
Yeah.
And the jump from individual semifinals of finishing like 19th to where I was to now you have to be like 5 to 10-ish, depending on your region or something like that. But going from like middle of the pack to qualifying is even like probably double the leap that I made from year 1 of quarterfinals to 2.
Yeah.
So I still didn't even expect that, the games to be an opportunity. So I didn't even let myself like say that's a goal. But now with this like kind of change, like a surprise, I'm going team, and all of a sudden it was a realistic opportunity. I guess
first try.
Yeah, first try.
Yeah.
But again, I probably wouldn't have signed. Like, I probably wouldn't have said yes, I'm going to put everything on hold and make all these sacrifices if we didn't think it was a 99% chance like going to happen.
Yeah.
But I say all of that to say, like, no, I don't know. It wasn't like I have to do this before I die thing, because I didn't think it was a possibility. Because Hunter says I'm being self-limiting. I thought I was being realistic, but maybe he was right.
So okay.
We gotta get Hunter on the podcast next time.
Yeah, I would love to, actually. He's got such a high IQ with this stuff, I feel like. And this isn't like a CrossFit centric, like, it's not centered around CrossFit, but I would love to talk to him about that, because I would tend to agree with him. I think that the only limiting factor for most people, especially for some like me, I'll just use myself for example, is self-belief. Like, I think that the body is so capable of anything that you put it through, but some people just aren't willing to make certain sacrifices, and that's fine. It's totally fine. You don't have to. Not everybody has to chase greatness or anything like that, but
you are missing out on some things that are also valuable in life,
and they could be fulfilling. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like, some people, some people going out and drinking on the weekend, it might be valuable to them. That might be their way to express themselves fully because they don't have the ability to without
The
or
social
whatever.
life. Like, I'm
Yeah.
glad I had that phase of like going and having, it was fun. It
Yeah,
was fun.
totally.
My friends, great friends from that.
Yeah.
I think we did it responsibly, but
Wow.
it was fun.
At least some responsible nights, right? But yeah, it's I think I truly believe that it really is just self-limiting beliefs. I think that I have like a delusional optimism for everyone. I think that anybody can do anything if they truly want it. I think that there's a difference between wanting something and saying you want it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you truly want it and you really put in the effort and you really give yourself your all, I don't think it's impossible for anything, you know? So I would agree with him. It probably was some self-limiting beliefs, especially you're already a D1 athlete.
Well, I'm still working on realizing that like I am at that level.
Yeah.
Like I was at Wadapalooza and was like, again, backfill invite, like hard, like feel like I don't belong there because I only got here on a backfill invite.
Like imposter syndrome.
Maybe, but just looking at other athletes and holding them on a pedestal higher than me.
Yeah, sure.
Because I still don't think, like, I know where I've been. I've only been doing it so long. Like, I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. And I just only view myself as, like, I can only be this good. Mm-hmm. And then I finally, like, go to Wadapalooza and I get second with a field of athletes that are, who have been to the games on teams or other individual semifinal, like, athletes that in my head I've ranked higher than myself.
Yeah.
And we were talking to actually Brian Friend at Wadapalooza because he was having a conversation with Hunter, and they turned to me and they were like, "Do you realize you're there yet?"
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, I guess, yeah. Like I said yes, I think. Once I got second, I was like, that's pretty cool. Given you look at the RX division in previous years and who podiumed there.
Yeah.
Some of them end up at the games in the future, and I still make the excuse in my head of like, yeah, but that's different. Like we're different. But then
in CrossFit, you have to see though that even in the RX division, like with a lot of those competitions, you are amongst elites.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like when you're in the bigger competitions.
Yeah. So I'm still working on believing that I also belong there, and I think I was just reflecting on semifinals today and our first event that we won, and that's easily going to remain one of the highlights of my athletic career.
Yeah.
Was finishing first, not only because of the freaking flames at the Touring Pro, that was dope, but
confetti spraying
that
everywhere.
Finally proved to me, oh, we belong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You for sure do.
I mean, and that was in a team aspect. Like, thank goodness my teammates could hold that sandbag better than I could, because that's how we got there. But that we showed up and proved ourselves, and that was a monumental moment in my personal athletic career.
I think when you actually step on the games floor too, it'll like be even more of like, holy shit, I might be able to do this by myself or whatever.
Yeah, I'm still working on that.
Yeah.
But I said it for the first time to one of my friends the other day that next year my goal is CrossFit Games. I'm
That's
gonna
good.
go individual, and so I can like still be here, build my practice, train, and why would I just have the same goal of going to like I've already done semifinals.
Yeah.
So like what am I doing if it's not to like see if I can get top 10?
Yeah,
or how
totally.
many ever spots I have in this region. So yeah, that's the goal.
Sweet.
Proud of myself for saying it out loud.
Good. Yeah, you should. You got to put it out there, right?
Yeah.
I don't put a lot of my stuff out there anymore because I feel like if I say it, like I like start to believe it too much where I might not even put the work in anymore. So I'm like, I know it's
makes
weird.
no sense.
It doesn't.
you out.
But in my life, the way that I've like watched myself like do things, I'm like, if I talk about a goal too much, I like think it's real and I just like don't work on it as much. But when I shut up and I don't tell anybody shit, I actually just start doing it.
Okay.
Because I'm like, I would just rather show people what's going to happen than talk about it. But anyway,
Yeah.
we've talked about the glitz and the glam, right? You made it to the CrossFit Games. You went to New Zealand. All right, now you're actually like in the thick of it. You're like going to the games and shit. There's got to be, and you have this business. You have a business partner. The choices that you make, you have a boyfriend. The choices you make now can definitely affect your surroundings, your environment, right? So what are like some of the things that you have to, there's got to be some level of sacrifice, right? Like you said, if you're going all in on one thing, something's got to suffer. What are some of the things that you feel like you're sacrificing now? How does it affect relationships? How is it affecting your business relationship? Drew's like the nicest guy on earth. He's amazing. So I'm sure he's all good. But how do you feel like it affects the people around you? And how does it affect you emotionally and mentally?
Yeah, it's anytime I start getting down on oh my goodness, this would be so much easier if I could only focus on training. Because when I was in New Zealand, I did kind of get a sense, I still did some stuff in the background of like the back end stuff of the business, but it was nowhere near as much like hours in the clinic of seeing X amount of patients per week. So I got a little bit of taste of like what it is to just fully feel like athlete mode. So anytime I start to feel a little
That must
bit
have been so cool.
I'm very lucky to have been able to do that. Very, very, very lucky. It was a very special experience. Shout out to Rich and Janine who housed me. Oh, the most beautiful people on this planet. Anyways, I'm gonna cry. So take 3. Anytime I start to feel a little upset that my life is so much harder than all the athletes that get paid to work out and only train, I remind myself that like after the games, I'm still going to have this identity.
Yeah.
Whether we get first, whether we get last. And that again helps me like decrease the stress in my head about it. So I'm so thankful that I have something to turn to. Like after a bad practice, I come into the clinic and like you completely are forced to change your mindset.
Yeah.
And that is something I've learned like is really helpful for me because that's where I struggle.
Sure.
If I had a bad practice and I would go back home while I was in New Zealand, it was really easy for me to like sit and stew on that a bit.
Yep.
And I probably should just work on that in itself. But I think I just function better when I have more things on my plate.
Yeah.
So currently with the business, I am maintaining like the caseload that I have and still doing like patient care to all of my current clients. If new come in, like, great. I'm absolutely available for all of that because you simply can't just train 24 hours out of the day.
Right.
So I just have to make a harder, like a stronger effort to like bringing enough food to work so I'm not like in a deficit.
Yep.
Struggle with that still, but absolutely loving being back in the clinic and working a bit because my clients are amazing. I have the best clients. So that brings me a lot of fulfillment and joy. But after we get past this season, then we're going to go back into like growth mode with the team.
Sure.
We just hired a new employee, Jake. He's fantastic.
Yeah, congrats, by the way.
Thank you. He's so motivated. So I'm almost like, I'm just excited to like team up with him because we both are going to go into like growth mode too.
He's posting so much on social
He's
now
doing
too.
great. Yeah, he's doing so good. Yeah. So we have Jake here. He's available for physical therapy if you need it, along with myself. We're developing a really cool crew here. So I am, because I know I'm going to be so sad when this ends. Like I was talking to Kendall one day when I was in New Zealand and he was like, Kelly, you're going to be a part of one of the biggest days of my life. Talking about the CrossFit Games. Like pending that we made it, but now we made it, so we can say it. But he was like, you're going to be a part of one of the biggest experiences of my life. And then I'm just never going to see you again. And I was like, oh my God. Like that's how he said it. And I was like, that makes me so depressed because these are such important, amazing people.
That's
that
a
are
really weird thing to say.
Like, he's in New Zealand. Like, I think I'm going to see them again. Like, I will see them again.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But if I ever see them, they're going to move to Australia after this. I've got to, like, carve out 2 weeks and find the funds to get my butt to Australia.
You will. They're lifelong
and so,
friends.
like, like, you know how, have you ever heard of, like girl gets stuck in a tree and the fireman saves her out of the tree and now they're like lifelong friends because they went through this trauma experience together. Like, you know what I mean?
They're lifelong friends or
yeah. Like, had you seen that, right?
No, I've never seen that.
So I feel like going through semifinals and going through the CrossFit Games is like not a trauma experience, but like
like you're trauma bonding with your teammates.
We have such a deep bond from enduring this together.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Yeah.
That's how I've explained it.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good explanation.
Like some of the most important people in my life that, like I'm depressed. I'm not going to see them again.
Yeah.
For probably a good amount of time. It's really hard to connect. Even like FaceTime. Like we only have a couple windows out of the day where we're both awake. So that's really sad. So I already know after the CrossFit Games, I've thought about it since January 15th every single day. I'm going to be a little lost. But I'm so happy that I have this business that I'm just going to dive into.
Yeah.
I'm going to compete at one of our local comps with one of my really good friends, Alyssa. We're going to go up to the Big Impact Games. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm so excited to compete with her because we haven't ever gotten the chance to do it. So I've already like booked a bunch of things to keep me looking forward.
That's awesome.
Just because I know it'll be a little bit of a dark place for a couple days.
She's just gonna like show up and just not try and win.
Well, Alyssa, she's going to run laps around me. She's so fit.
Is she?
Oh, she's
good.
so fit. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm just going to hold on because I probably will take a good 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
And then that'll help like kind of pick me back up to like, okay, you got to start moving in a little bit.
Bring the motivation back.
It's always hard to get back into it after a big comp.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I've already like, I feel like I'm doing a really good job of setting things up to keep moving.
Good.
Be like excited after a really big event like this.
Yeah, that's super good.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the road to the games, because you're training so much, you have to focus on eating a lot? Like, what are some of the things that I don't want to say that you feel like you're missing out on, but what are some of the things that you have had to kind of push to the side so that you can make this a reality and do the best that you can do on game day?
Well, one thing I've changed a little bit because I hate my cooking. I don't enjoy doing it, and I'm tired. This is a lot of training, so I'm kind of tired. Yeah. So I have reinvested like a little bit towards myself to like get a meal prep company.
They didn't sponsor you yet?
No.
What the fuck?
Well, I don't. I guess I could ask again, but that's been so helpful because they're great. It's a local meal prep company. It's a Fresh Chef MKE, and every meal I've got has been.
I'm gonna bleep that out until they agree to sponsor you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like that's one adjustment I've made because I normally don't want to spend money on something that I could just do myself.
Yeah, for
if
sure.
I like had the energy, but because I'm here a lot and then I'm training more than I've ever trained before, like I am trying to make that. I'm paying for the convenience too.
Yeah,
so like just leading up to it, that's one thing I've adjusted that has been really helpful.
Cool.
Because I know if I'm not feeling enough, like I'm performance and then likelihood of injury is gonna peak. So
don't I know that?
Yeah.
Don't I know?
Yeah. What was it? Oh, and then like I also get a lot of enjoyment out of experiences is one thing I've learned. That's why I had such a fun experience in New Zealand. I made the most of it. So I get a lot out of going and doing things.
Yeah.
So I have like this amount of volume that we're doing is really exhausting. So over the weekend, it's kind of like I would normally try to go do something like enjoy Milwaukee's summer.
Yeah, Milwaukee summer rules.
In the winter, it's fine to just kind of sit on the couch and like watch a movie or whatever. But I try, because winter's so bad, like try to go do stuff and like learn how to love Milwaukee because I'm still kind of new here.
Yeah.
And so sometimes like I'm just too tired to go do that sometimes.
Yeah.
So just being like, it's okay. You are investing this time into setting yourself up to have the best training session because all of these training sessions eventually like add up.
Yeah. Compounds.
Yeah. So not that one individually is going to make or break our games, but a lot of them together haven't changed your skill set. So those are, I guess, some of the things that have changed.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, with that, I'm just going to ask you 3 questions.
Oh, okay.
I've enjoyed so much talking to you about this. It's been great.
Thanks.
A great first guess. So, okay, number 1, what is like your biggest goal or the goal that you're looking forward to the most to complete?
For this season?
In general, it could be for this season, yeah. But what's like a really big goal of yours that you want to complete?
Well, I guess for this season, our like objective goal would be, for me, if there's cuts, I don't want to get cut. I want to see the end of the weekend. So, like, it's not too far away from me, but my teammates are coming from halfway on the other side of the world. If they don't get to compete in the whole event, I see that as a problem. You know?
Oh, I forgot that was a thing that they cut
I'm
people.
not sure. I don't think I've seen any info on if they're gonna make cuts or not, but they typically do after day 2 or 3 or something.
Oh God, that's pressure.
So that's one goal that I have. I think it would be fantastic to be able to finish the entire weekend.
Sweet.
I don't really know what my other goals are. I think I've listened to a bunch of podcasts of other people, other games athletes like talking about it, and I remember one saying like, first event comes on, and then all of a sudden it's the end. Like it's like a blur. So they tried to like take in all this like senses, like breathe and like look around, look at the crowd, like see everything. So I know that I tend to get caught up in the moment of nerves or like getting down on one event or something like that. I want to walk away being like, I enjoyed every single freaking moment of this competition.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because it's such a special experience. These people, we're only going to be together this one time. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity, literally.
Yeah, it's going to be fucking awesome.
So I think I need to like put a reminders in my phone. Like every like couple hours, it'll just go off to be like, enjoy the moment.
Gratitude, mindfulness moment.
To pull me out of like just the mindset you can get that I tend to get in, because I look past at some of my other competitions and I can't necessarily say I've felt that way.
Yeah.
And this is just going to be so special that I just don't want to get so overwhelmed that I'm like already sad it's done before it even happens or something, you know?
For sure.
So I guess that would be one goal. Thanks for helping me identify that.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you use Headspace at all, if you do any meditating.
I have actually. Yeah,
so
that's huge.
they have this new feature, at least new for me, where you can set a reminder for like a mindful moment.
Headspace itself.
Yeah, it'll like send you a mindful moment reminder. Not to like meditate, but just to have a mindful moment.
Yeah. That's great.
On top of that, what are you willing to sacrifice to achieve that goal? Or I guess let's not say sacrifice. What are you willing to do to do that? Because that's not
I don't view any of this as sacrifice.
Sure, yeah,
I don't
that's
think it
fine.
should be viewed as a sacrifice when you like. If you see it as a sacrifice, your goal you probably need to adjust. Then
I would actually, as we're
makes
talking,
sense.
have to agree with you at least in this instance. Yeah.
Yeah, I would, because I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't know if it's just because I did get to go live my life of like being social and all that stuff before. Like, say, I don't know, some of the younger athletes that are up and coming right now, like didn't go experience college.
Right.
And that's just, those are transformative years and so important. And because I did get to do that, I have no problem being a little less social now. Or so like, is it really, I don't know, is it not that important? I don't know.
It's not a sacrifice to you. It's just a different stage of life.
Yeah. So I don't, it's not that hard. Some days are hard to go in and move.
Yeah.
But putting yourself around the right people, you get it done.
Okay. That's great. Yeah. So then last one, what are you not willing to sacrifice for the goal?
Happiness in my career, I would say.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. As soon as it's not fun.
Yeah.
And for me, the winning, obviously, huge bonus. Like that event won at semifinals, like sick. All of that's amazing. But I am so addicted to the process of like getting better and seeing how good I can get. So I think it's so important to like enjoy the journey. But it's not all about the day of competition. So as soon as I don't enjoy that journey, or like, I don't know, can you tap out on getting better? Like as soon as I'm not getting better and day in and day out, I'm miserable. Like that would be a time to cool it, I guess. So I guess, happiness and like the other half of my identity is something I probably wouldn't give up.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah. Well, hey, on that, we're going to end this pod. Thanks so much for being the first one on. I really, really appreciate you. Yeah, thanks for listening. Anybody that wants to sponsor the team, say the team, plug your business, everything.
The affiliate plus 6'4 CrossFit, and our team name, which sounds cooler, is 6'4 Army Endgame. And I'm so I'm so excited. We're gonna have like a massive group of people at the games.
Yes.
That are supporters, just because I feel like the like hometown hero here. It's just a little local comp I'm going to, right?
Yeah.
So a bunch of my friends. A bunch of my friends are going to come join and be able to watch. And that's actually going to be really helpful, I bet, to pull me out of the competitiveness, because so many different people that I know and love are going to be there.
It's a great support system.
I love watching CrossFit as it is. Like I've gone every single year leading up to this. So
that's going to
be really cool.
I do not particularly love watching CrossFit, but because you're in it, because a friend is in it, I'm going to be like, oh, I fucking want to watch it. Like Aaliyah, I didn't want to watch the semifinals at all, but because I knew that you and Aaliyah were in it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch it.
Way more.
Yeah, and then Heather was watching everything.
I love watching it. I love watching. Like I'm bummed that I probably won't be able to like go and watch all the individual events because I gotta like focus on myself.
You're gonna be so high from being on that field. You're gonna be like, I can't even watch these other motherfuckers. You know. So all right, so subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks.
Awesome. Dude, great.
Thanks.
Awesome.